What's up, guys? It's your boy Josh Showtime, along with my homeboy Josh Vyas. This is Showtime's Fight Phone, where we talk all things fights. And let's get into the nitty gritty. Oh, first, shout out to everybody who's been watching our videos. It's been growing. I think right now our last video is like over 400 views. You know, it seems like a little bit, but for people who just started, we just started doing this link up. That's great. Hopefully we continue to climb. We can start getting thousands and thousands of views and get a lot of debates going. Turn some heads. And look, and we down for people to tell us that we don't know what we talking about. Because then when we write, I'm going to tell you personally to suck my dick. But Josh ain't going to do that, but I will. And I'm going to just let you know that you was wrong. But if I'm wrong also, I have no problem telling you I was wrong again. Boxing is unpredictable. You ain't going to always be right. And that's why we watch it. So it is what it is. First things first, Josh. I know you went back to the DMV. How was your time?
It was great. Thanks for asking. Had a great time with my family. My little brothers are in the lax lacrosse program, so had a great opportunity to see my little brother play goalie, and then my other little brother had a senior night. So just great time with the family, a lot of sports, and good food. That's different from my Miami food here.
Yeah, man, that home food, man. Look, you already know all the spots. Then you
Yep.
get some mumbo sauce. Listen, man, I'm already hip. I can't wait to go back home just so I can get some more for some food.
That's funny
Already
you
wish
brought
you.
up the mumbo sauce. That is the first sauce that I had when I came back. I opened my
You have to.
fridge and it was right there. I said, "Yep."
You have to. Like every
Yep.
time I go home, like, I need mumbo sauce. So let's go ahead. I can't get it in Indiana.
Yep.
So now let's go ahead and let's get about the topic for today. Topic will be about the Canelo fight. All right, Canelo, the cash cow of boxing, the biggest star in boxing. He is defending his title versus Munguia. And I mean, you know, it's always during what is it, Cinco de Mayo, and then also Mexican Independence Day. That's normally when he does his fights. Obviously, it falls into that. And you know, this is a fight that should be at the very least entertaining. Tell me what you think after watching Munguia fight, and then obviously off of Canelo's really good win versus Charlo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting another high explosive fight, a pressure fight from Canelo. When you look at Munguia and all his skill sets that he brings to the table, it's tailor made for a back and forth fight, which is something that we definitely love to see because if you bring it to Canelo, he will bring it right back to you as far as fireworks are concerned. He has no problem staying in the pocket. Whether you want to trade with him or not, he will always be down to trade. So, love this fight here. Mexicans on both sides, so you know you're always going to get an explosive fight with two Mexicans going at it. And with Jaime Munguia, I just feel like overall he does have a solid resume. So he's not coming in here whether you're a casual. If you're a casual, yeah, this may be a new name for you, but if you're not, you know, he has fought some quality opponents like Liam Smith. He also had fought John Ryder as well and TKO'd him. So um, this is an opportunity for him to fight that cash cow, number one guy in the sport for that, and make a name for himself. So you always are going to get the best out of those type of fighters, right? And then with Canelo, there's just a lot going on with him, a lot of chatter saying he's picking his opponents or, you know, ducking other opponents, ducking Benavidez, all this nonsense. I think Canelo Alvarez is just pulling a Floyd Mayweather, doing what he's allowed to do because he's been through the ringer as far as fights are concerned with his fights against, you know, Triple G and so forth. So he's earned the right to kind of, you know, pick exactly who he wants to fight. And this is not a weak opponent by any stretch of the word. So just kind of a little bit of an unknown opponent. So overall, I'm expecting a lot of fireworks. I think someone's going to get knocked down. I don't know who it is, and I'm not going to say it's not Canelo. What I will say, though, is I don't see this fight being ended in a KO, but I do see this fight having some knockdowns.
See, and honestly, that was a great breakdown. Um, so you hit on a lot of points, so I guess I'll try to follow up on some of those. One, I have the same sentiment as far as how the fight's going to go. It's going to be an action-packed fight, and I think that's kind of the vibe that Canelo's been going for. I think that he's understood that a big part of his weakness is going against guys who box, use their feet, and that would just want to be slick boxers. And he rather is try to get the guys that do come forward and that will try to stand and bang. That's kind of seemed to be his vibe lately because it gives the fans what they want. It gives him what he wants. I mean, we've already seen him try to dictate fights by having not the cage, but the ring smaller so guys can't run away from him as much. And he can be able to go to that body, beat up those arms, and then actually just walk you down rather than actually tactically be able to find the angles and then, get his kill shot. We've seen him do that, so it's not shocking that he picked an opponent like Munguia who's going to stand in there, who's going to be offensive and give Canelo what he wants and gives the fans also what they want. Now, is that the fight that all of us wanted to see? No, it's not. It's a good fight. It's not a bad fight whatsoever. Munguia does lack in the defense, but he makes up for it with his offense. And that's what, once again, the fans want. That's what Canelo wants. But at the same time, Benavidez does and did fit that mold as well. We do know Benavidez is aggressive. We do know his punch count is high. I mean, it's a lot of what Bivol does. You can kind of say, like, I don't think he's as technical as a boxer as Bivol, but yet still, as far as the volume and also being able to keep that same pace for 12 whole rounds, I think that Benavidez also fits that mold, being taller, being lankier, but at the same time, Canelo kind of faced everybody who's like that because he's, in my opinion, a very small super middleweight. Everyone will act like he's a huge guy, but if you really break it down off of just size and metrics, he's really not a super middleweight. 5'8", 70-inch reach. That is not in any means a super middleweight. I mean, when people always kill me with this whole Canelo's huge thing, is I'm like, okay, massive, sure, but he also can cut down if he genuinely wanted, but he doesn't because he's, like you said, Floyd Mayweather. Floyd did not weigh 147. Floyd did not cut to 147. He weighed 150.
Right.
Okay, he didn't have to cut any of weight. That's why he was eating Burger King and all that extra stuff. If he wanted to cut, he would fight at 140. Same thing with Canelo now. Canelo doesn't really have to cut too much weight to get down to super middle. And just to put in perspective, Floyd had the longer reach and they was the same damn height. And that just goes to show, as far as stature, he doesn't and I said that also when it came to the Crawford fight. I was like, it's interesting because if you look at the size, once again, height around the same. Reach, Crawford has a longer reach. Yes, Canelo's still the naturally bigger guy, but still, it compares. So once again, just to bring this whole thing back around, is that I understand why he doesn't necessarily want to face Benavidez right now, but at the same time, the Canelo I knew, the Canelo I grew up watching, took those fights. He didn't care about necessarily losing. Not to say that he cares about losing now, but I do think in a way, he cares about losing if it isn't noted as a big risk. He's okay with taking L's at light heavyweight because that's not his weight class. He's not the man in that weight class. Realistically, you're daring to be great. You're not daring to be great fighting Benavidez. That's what you're supposed to do. So I think that in a way kind of makes him say, I'm okay with that.
Right, and what's rather annoying, I guess you can say, is we're downplaying Jaime Munguia like he's not 43-0, right?
That's true.
And that's the frustrating part about the boxing industry, is because that's probably where Canelo is standing too, in the sense of, hey, you guys want me to fight this guy and David Benavidez, but I'm also fighting a 43-0 fighter. It's not like I'm rematching Amir Khan or anything like that, right? So I feel like for Canelo, I don't know if I think styles just make fights, and I hate to use the word duck, but I think Canelo says to himself, why take this fight with Benavidez at this juncture and lose when if I could fight a guy like Munguia whose style fits me better, whose style, even
exactly.
Though, to your point, yes, David Benavidez is definitely that combat style, Mexican style fighter as well, right? But I think that the pressure that he brings, the size that he brings, as far as just his presence in the ring, is different than Jaime Munguia. So for Canelo, it's more of yes, this is going to be a challenging fight, but I know that I have certain skill sets to offset what he brings. And I don't know if he knows that answer about David Benavidez, but I think he may find that out within the fight, but he doesn't know that right now, which kind of leads him to Jaime.
Another point to that as well is that Canelo is a money man. He's a guy that really does care about his brand, his money. And let's also put in something that you already said. This is a Mexican fighter that he's fighting. And you put in two Mexicans, one that is undefeated, hungry, and does have a good resume, has a whole country, you could say behind him, but also Canelo has that same country. You got to understand, like, we got to also remember, like, you put two Mexicans together, that's a mega fight. That's going to sell a lot, and that's going to bring a lot of money to him. Some people can say Benavidez is Mexican. He is American. And he just also happens, yeah, yes, I know he's Mexican technically, but he's also an American. Like, Mexicans are going to root for the Mexican before what was they calling Oscar when he was fighting Julio Cesar Chavez? Like, they were calling him a fake Mexican. Like, right. Because he's once again an American that just happens to have Mexican blood, this, that, and the third. Like, they love him if he's fighting anybody else. But if you're fighting a purebred, born and raised from Mexico, they rocking with you. So you have two born and raised Mexicans fighting each other. That is a money fight. And that's one thing, and I've learned that mainly from Floyd. Floyd has said that several times. He purposely chose guys from other countries because he was like, bro, they have a whole country behind them. That's going to sell way more than if I fight another American. And if you look at his money, it shows to be correct. His biggest money fights weren't from guys from America.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely were not. They were, not only stylistically good fights for him, but just media market-wise good fights for him as well. So definitely understood why he took some fights. I know that Brian Kenny was, asking Floyd about fighting Shane Mosley, and he decided it wasn't worth fighting him because he's just another Black American fighter as opposed to fighting a fighter from another country who, to your point,
it was Manuel Marquez. It was Marquez.
Yeah, Manuel Marquez, yeah. So he had Manuel Marquez, Mexican, country behind him, right? So with Canelo, I think that it sounds weird of saying this, but to just save face here, he's basically keeping it all in the Mexican family, right? To your point, David Benavidez is a Mexican American as opposed to Jaime Munguia, who is a Mexican. So I think this, favors more on Canelo as far as a money side, but I think from a fan viewership standpoint, we just want to see the Benavidez fight. But I think money wise, this fight makes way more sense financially.
Yep. Now tell me, because we got a topic after we do our predictions that I do want to ask you. But first, tell me how this fight's going to play out. Who you think's going to win?
I have Canelo by majority decision because it's boxing and somebody is going to say that it was a draw. One of the judges.
See, here's the thing. Like, Canelo don't get draws unless he lost the fight. So, right. He's not getting no draw unless he genuinely did lose that fight. I'm going to say he's going to get a TKO. I say TKO 10th round. I think that he's going to land a power shot. Munguia is going to be offensive, leave himself open, and Canelo's going to land an uppercut, and it's going to hurt him, and then he's going to get beat up, and the referee's going to stop it. It's not going to be a flash knockout. It's going to be a TKO by ref stoppage, but I'm going to go Canelo, and hopefully we get the fight that we genuinely want. Now, that is our predictions. That's what we think is going to happen. If we're wrong, we're going to tell you we're wrong, and we're going to be happy that we're wrong because that is going to bring more madness to that division. So I'm down. But speaking to the madness, we have to talk about Oscar De La Hoya. Have you seen the press conference?
Saw the press conference. Definitely have my take on it.
So please tell me, one, what did you think about the press conference itself? And then I have a follow-up question right after.
I would say classic press conference until De La Hoya got to the podium. And I think that obviously was the game changer. That's what we're all talking about. So classic boxing press conference up until that point, in my opinion.
I mean, Oscar is going to be Oscar. Canelo really does not like Oscar. And here's my thing, man. My biggest take on this is just that there's always a trail when it comes to Oscar. Like, and it's kind of the same with Floyd, too. Floyd has, like, permanent on and off again relationships. If you notice, like, there's, outside of maybe women, you really can't think of a person who's been consistent outside of his team who he pays that is like always there by his side. It's normally always Rocky. 50 Cent him, Rocky. Gervonta Davis, Rocky. Even his dad, Rocky. Like, it's always like an on again, off again kind of thing. Oscar, it's normally the same story. They was cool, then they just absolutely hate him afterwards. Like, the only person I could think of that's been sticking by his side is Bernard Hopkins.
Hmm.
And I mean, that's probably just because, like, bro, I'll knock you out again. Like, say something I don't like, I'll literally hit you in your body. What you got? What you gonna do?
Hmm.
Like, that's the only thing. But everybody who's done business with Oscar genuinely hates him afterwards, and that does say a lot.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's almost shocking that he's still, promoting at the level that he is because he does have a lot of quality fighters under the Golden Boy promotional ranks.
Yes.
And it's bizarre to me, and maybe this is a choice by Floyd. And to your point, Floyd, I'm sure, has ran into these troubles, like you said, has a trail with other fighters and so forth. I wonder if there's something that De La Hoya is doing that still has him in that same spotlight, as opposed to somebody like Floyd, who, I mean, if you really think about it, he lost out on Devin Haney, lost out on Gervonta Davis. Like, De La Hoya has lost out on Canelo, but he still has all these other fighters. Floyd lost out on these couple fighters, and now we have Kermel Morton coming in and other fighters, but they're still like what 1-0, 2-0. We don't really know these fighters that are on Floyd's stable just yet. So yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like there's always something with Oscar De La Hoya. He always has something going on. I think the the trouble between him and Canelo, though, runs a lot more personal and a lot more deep because
Oh,
this is a
100%.
10-year partnership that they had, right?
Yes.
So this is not like,
You're talking
it's
hundreds of millions of dollars.
right. So it's not like a Ryan Garcia moment where Ryan's still a young kid, he's still in his 24, 25 age year, right? But we're talking Canelo, who is the A side in boxing and all that he does, and has a decade-long partnership with Oscar De La Hoya that he can provide his insight on. So, um, rather interesting what's going on. But yes, to your point, Oscar De La Hoya does have a lot going on, and I think Canelo is going to be that first superstar to really just put it out there.
Yeah. Now, my follow-up question. This is the fun
Sure.
question. Oscar versus Canelo, 154 prime. Who do you have?
Canelo for sure. I think Oscar was I would say the slicker boxer. I could see him, outboxing. He does have some pop, right? He'll definitely come at you. He'll come
More
for,
active.
yeah, super, very much so more active. But I just feel like we've seen so many times throughout Oscar De La Hoya's career where he's been clipped, he's been nicked, he's been knocked down, he's been knocked out. I mean, time and time again, no matter what phase of his career, he's always had some like really challenging moments. And then we have Canelo, who I guess we can all agree I haven't seen Canelo knocked down yet. I haven't seen him take a knee
Got
on.
close, but no.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that. He definitely had some moments in his Triple G fight where, he got clipped and of course Bivol, right? But Oscar, we've seen him lose fights bad. So on their best day, I got Canelo, but I do think that would be a fun fight to watch for sure.
So, I, my thing would be, when would you classify Canelo at his best? What year? What fight? What would you say he was at his best?
I would say in that range where he was fighting when he knocked out James Kirkland, then went into Miguel Cotto right after,
I'm about to say
right?
the Cotto. That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking about too.
Cotto, and then granted it was mere. I hate to say this because every boxer is it takes a lot to get in their ring, but fought Amir Khan, right? Maybe a weaker boxer, but still a big name. But then he just kept racking up like solid wins. He had the Liam Smith win, then the All Mexican Showdown again with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and then he went into that Triple G trilogy. So I feel like right around that like 2015, 2017 where Canelo was fighting Triple G for the first time. I think that version of him, that range of him, beats Oscar's De La Hoya best era, best day, any year.
I think if we're going Canelo versus Triple G 2, I think Canelo wins. That version of Canelo was tough to beat, very tough to beat at 154. In the if in that I mean, well, if he was at 154, 'Cause I believe that fight was at 160. But yet and still, like if that version is at 154, I think that beats Oscar De La Hoya. And like you said before, it's hard to really, say Oscar can win when you say he's gone through more adversity. We've seen him knocked out, we've seen him dropped, we've seen him hurt. Hell, Floyd hurt him before. Like Floyd hurt him. So like it's hard to really say Oscar, but you also have to remember if we're going off of resumes, Oscar probably has a better resume as far as like who he's fought. Like, yes, they both fought Floyd, but then you got Felix Trinidad, you got Bernard Hopkins, like you have all
Manny
these
Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao, you got all these absolute dogs that Oscar fought. And granted, he fought these guys in their prime, like at their best, and he was fighting these guys. So that's another reason why we have seen him in adversity as well. So you have to. I want to give Oscar all his respects because you can't just sit here and just say, "Oh, I seen him knocked out." Well, who was the one knocking him out? Because I'm pretty sure if the people who was beating him could possibly also beat Canelo. Like, I mean, it's very fair to say Bernard Hopkins can very well beat Canelo. Probably will beat Canelo. I mean, you can just keep going down the ladder, and like I said, if Floyd beat both of them, and we already seen what happened. Oscar, very well, you can argue. I don't think he won, but you can argue he beat Floyd. You can't argue. You have a better chance of arguing a round or trying to find a round where Canelo beat Floyd. So, and you can also say age and all that stuff. I'm not really with that because he had 44 fights. Mike Tyson won a world championship at that age. I don't want to hear that age crap. He was well seasoned. He just fought one of the greatest boxers and the slickest boxers and got whooped pretty easily. But yeah, so like I said, I'm going to say Canelo would win. I think it would be a very gritty, very tough dog fight. But I think that Oscar, while he does punch hard, I don't think that he would be able to hurt Canelo enough. And it's hard for me to say that because Miguel Cotto's little brother actually almost knocked Canelo out in the fight, like pretty bad. And he's out on his feet and then punched him so hard he woke back up in the midst of a combination. So it's hard for me to say this, but I will say Canelo would win in decision. If it goes to decision, you can't beat Canelo for real. Like you have to literally thoroughly beat him for 12 rounds in order to beat Canelo in a unanimous decision. But so I'm gonna say Canelo as well.
Yeah, and I take nothing away from Oscar De La Hoya. We're talking about a gold medalist, as you mentioned, pound for pound, fought anybody and everybody. So again, I think it would be a great fight. I think it is a Mexican's dream to watch them fight in their prime. But to your point again, I just think Canelo is just a cement wall, too much so for Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah, I agree. But it's a fight that unfortunately would never happen, but it would have been really, really fun to see happen because,
Yep.
These are all-time great fighters, and that's what we live for. We live for all-time great matchups, and, we just don't want them to end up like Crawford and Spence. Still hurts my soul. But that is all we have, man. Make sure you follow me on social media at Papa Showtime, Josh Showtime. Josh, where can they find you at?
You guys can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at First Class Baez.
All right, guys, thank you as always. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And question of the day, who do you have? 154, Canelo versus Oscar De La Hoya. This is Oscar, not on drugs, strictly focused. And this is Canelo in his prime at his best. I want to know who y'all think will win. All right, that is it. We're out of here. Y'all make sure y'all stay blessed.